How does one go from high school dropout to the founder of a seven-figure digital marketing agency? Dylan Ogline is now a leading expert in direct response advertising. But prior to 2016, he found himself working on 10-plus business projects and nearly $1 million in debt. Tired from struggling, getting no progress, and working from his freezing basement, he discovered the one thing that allowed him to build Ogline Digital into a seven-figure agency, generating over $1 million in sales 3 years running. Join me today as we talk about that and more with Dylan Ogline. Hi, this is Bob Poole. Welcome to the Water Cooler Hangout. For over 40 years, I've been helping people like you grow and prosper. Please join me and guests like Seth Godin, Guy Kawasaki, Lauren Cordain, Beverly and Tim Walden, Phil Elmore, and more as we share real-life stories about sales, marketing, leadership, creativity, and current events. Need help in moving to the next level? Find out how others have done it by listening to the Water Cooler Hangout. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Water Cooler Hangout. I'm here today with Dylan Ogline. He's a high school dropout from a small country town in Pennsylvania, a town I'm familiar with, in fact, because I used to have to drive through it every time I crossed the Pennsylvania on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Welcome, Dylan. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Bob. Thanks for having me. How about you? How you doing?
I'm doing okay, other than the fact that we have a major nor'easter snowstorm coming today, and they're talking about dumping up to 20 inches of snow on us later on. So,
well, it's supposed to get down here in Florida. I think it's supposed to be down into like the 40s tonight. So
that's pretty cold.
I'm feeling it too.
Yeah, I feel bad for you.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. Well, right before we went on the air here together, I got a message from the township I live in that they declared a snow emergency. So
you're in, you said Bucks County?
Yeah, Bucks County. You familiar?
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of it. I lived in Pennsylvania most of my life, so I heard that's out towards Philly, right?
Yeah. It's the county, Washington's Crossing and all that. It's the county right above Philadelphia, heading up towards New York. So it's on the Delaware River.
Hockey out there.
Yeah.
Hockey out there once. Yeah. So back in the day.
So I read you have a fascinating biography. You started your first business when you were 14, right?
That is correct. Yeah. Selling cell phones on eBay. flipping phones on eBay, as somebody said recently.
And had you already dropped out of high school at that point?
No. This is pushing the memory here. I'm only 31, but this is like 17 years ago. Wow. So no, I technically finished 9th grade, dropped out of 10th grade. So what happened was I convinced my parents to let me do homeschool so I could focus on the business. And I sold them on it. And back then, like, you had to pay for it. So I had to pay out of pocket, like a couple $1,000s to do homeschool. And this was all virtual and everything, but this was primitive stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
So they let me do it, and I never opened any of the books, never took any of the, I might have taken like a couple tests just to mess around, but never did anything. So then I think it was shortly after I turned 16, technically, I dropped out of high school.
And so what did you do then?
So the cell phone business got shut down because they found out, my merchant provider found out that I was under the age of 18, so I couldn't accept credit cards. So, but I made a good chunk of money off of that. Stashed most of it, and I started doing like web design, graphics design, basically anything I could get my hands on to try to get things going. Invested in some real estate, bounced around way too much for 12 years, getting absolutely nowhere until I finally started focusing on digital marketing. But it was a painful road between that initial setup and finally getting things to click.
Yeah, you had a word in your your biography that you said was key to where you are today, and that word was focus.
Yeah, 100. Hindsight's 20/20. Yeah. But focus was I like to say that the solution was sitting right in front of my face. Like, it was there. But I was just too blind to see it because I was too caught up in the day-to-day, too desperate to try to make things work. And I see that now that I've gotten into kind of education and mentoring and teaching other entrepreneurs and business owners, I see that as so common, where you're caught up in the day-to-day, you're desperate to try to make it work, you're trying to bring in revenue. So you go in so many different directions thinking, you know, if I can just get a couple $100 a month here, or make $1,000 a month there off of this, then I can focus on the main thing. But in most cases, you never actually get those things going. So it's better to just focus on the main thing, and that should lead to your success. Sure as hell did for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think focus is the key. Some of us learn it later than others, myself being one, because I've always had kind of an inquisitive mind, and I like to go in different directions and look at different things, and it's easy to get caught up in it, right?
Oh yeah, shiny object syndrome. Trying to always chasing the newest thing. Chasing the squirrels. Yeah. But the man, there's a quote: "The man who chases many rabbits catches none." And that was, I spent 12, 13 years, give or take, suffering, getting nowhere, and that was the problem. It was that simple.
So now you call yourself a digital entrepreneur, and you help other people in primarily in advertising and marketing. Is that?
So now I have, so my main business is my digital agency, Oakline Digital. With that, we specifically help medium-sized businesses, sometimes small, but typically doing over 100 to 200,000 a year in revenue. We help them with their marketing. So we like to say that we focus on direct response digital marketing management, which in English, we manage people's Facebook and Google ads. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what we do. I also have an education company where I have a training program called Agency 2.0. And with that, I teach students how to start and grow their own digital agency.
Okay. Well, it's interesting you brought up the Facebook advertising. I spent some time yesterday afternoon, about an hour, with a whole group of people. It's kind of a mastermind group. And I was talking about, none of them had done any real Facebook advertising. I actually started doing it about 12 years ago, because I do some of what you do. We have clients and we handle everything. At one time I used to say, and here's the shiny object thing. I say we do everything except finance and legal. So
which, you were full service.
Oh yeah, full service marketing. Everything. Service. I mean, at one time we also did not do. I had placement. I'm talking like 30, 40 years ago. It was like we don't do placement either, because we didn't want to get into that. But when Facebook opened up the Facebook advertising, so we jumped into it. We looked at it as a good opportunity for our clients. Mm-hmm. But, I started it, and I looked at it, and I started doing them myself, and I absolutely hated it. I mean, I hated it. I hated Facebook. I hated the fact that they kept changing the rules, that they kept changing. I couldn't find Ad Manager sometimes. It would be somewhere else.
Their platform is a pain. They're constantly changing it. It is an extremely complicated platform. That is 100%.
So, I hired someone like you. I had to. I talk about focus. My job, as far as I'm concerned, was not to do Facebook advertising. I never want to do it again. So I think
if you hate it, you don't want to focus on it. Get somebody else.
Yeah. There's good people out there that can teach you about it, but I don't want to spend that amount of time. So I think the service you offer, I'm not putting in a plug here, but a little bit for you, is a great service. People need it, especially what's going to happen now if they get rid of the Pixel and they go the API route. How's that going to work?
I don't think, there still has to be some level of tracking. I think Facebook would cease to exist if they don't. I do think Facebook has gotten too big. I think there was something the other day I saw that they're talking about breaking it up, having Instagram be separate. And to a certain extent, I agree with that. I think that's okay. But these privacy concerns, I believe that there's a lot of misconception. Most people, when they're, they see an ad, it's like, I was on this website 20 minutes ago and now there's an ad for it on Facebook. Right. That's just retargeting. But people will sit there and they're like, that means Mark Zuckerberg is tracking my internet history.
Yeah.
Like, that's so what it is. So I think there's a lot of talk about them changing privacy, changing tracking and whatnot. I don't think that's I can't see that happening because it would destroy Facebook.
Well, I mean, if they go the route of removing pixels and adding the API for tracking, I think that's a business opportunity for someone like your company. So, but to change the subject just slightly here, so let's talk about small business. You say you work for a lot of small businesses. Mm-hmm. So, are you crazy?
Why so?
I have also worked for I've worked for Fortune 100 companies, years ago, but I have to say that I've worked for a lot of small companies, and I like small businesses. I like the fact that they can move quickly. You can get,
that's nice.
Yeah. You can see what happens. You don't have to sit in meetings with 12 guys in suits or 12 people in suits with 5 of them are attorneys, I hated all that kind of stuff where you would work on a project for maybe a year, and I saw this a year, and several millions of dollars were spent just putting a project together, never launched, and top management changed, CEO changed, and came in, wiped it all out. Who cares? Let's go on, to a new project. So I like small business, but a lot of my friends who are consultants absolutely are fearful of small business. They hate it. They think it's the worst thing in the world. So what attracts you to small business?
So what keeps me away from focusing on the big businesses is I hate the bureaucracy. I've done web design projects where you have to sit through meeting after meeting after meeting deciding on the color scheme. Like, just make a decision, guys. So when I'm saying small businesses, I believe a lot of people get caught up on, if you're dealing with somebody who can't afford your solution, whatever it is, whether it's web design, consulting, marketing management, like me, if they can't afford it or it's a stretch, that's going to be a difficult and stressful situation. So in my particular case, I'm working with businesses that already have a marketing budget, that are already spending. Maybe they're spending $100,000 a month on billboards, or $300,000 a month on TV ads, or something like that. And when they come on, we're like, okay, well, let's spend $30,000 a month on Facebook ads. That's a lot of money, but in the overall scheme of things, it's not make or break. If we break even or we lose 10% the first month, it's not the end of their world. So. Which the thing is with marketing, like, you're not going to hit a home run your first at bat. Your first ad is probably not going to be profitable. Like, there has to be some tweaking to get things to work. So for me, I'm targeting, small businesses, but small businesses that are looking to grow, that can afford a premium solution. The folks that, are doing $2,000 a month in revenue, they can't spend $5,000 a month on Facebook ads. They're better off trying to take a course or watching YouTube videos to try to, if they want to do Facebook or Google or YouTube, whatever, they should, focus on doing it themselves to get things going.
Right. No, I agree with you there. I mean, you do still have to have a budget. So entrepreneurship, what's the perils of entrepreneurship? I think you talked about
isn't. I was talking to my neighbor about this the other day, and I was like, I think, like, if you start your own business, you have to be a little bit crazy. Like, nobody smart does this. Like, you have to be a little off your rocker to be willing to. And I believe the people that actually make it, a lot of the times, like, you risk it all over and over and over again. And that's just stupid. So it's not a fun journey to be a business owner. It's exciting. And if you like it and you can tolerate the risk, it's worth the pain, but it's a painful situation. No matter what, risking it all. A lot of times you got to figure out things on your own. You have to work a stupid number of hours. to get things going in the beginning. That's not fun.
No, but I think it's part of our DNA. People that are entrepreneurs, and I call myself a serial entrepreneur. I mean, it's just what it is. I wouldn't have done anything differently. I've been doing this when I started my first company. Doubt, same as you. I actually started a company when I was about 14. I hired my first attorney, I think, when I was 14.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I needed to collect money from a guy. I learned a lesson though. This is true. I was 14, maybe 15. I knew I couldn't drive, whatever the age it was. And I was doing photography back then, and the guy came to me. So I did a bunch of photography, and he was supposed to pay me X dollars. I did the prints and all that. So anyways, I wasn't getting paid. So this attorney happened to hire me he was the head of the local Little League, baseball group. He wanted me to photograph all the Little Leagues. And in the course of conversation with him, I said, listen, I've got this guy that owes me money and I can't get paid. What would you do? And he says, well, I'll write him a letter. And I said, okay, that'd be great. So he wrote him a letter. And sure enough, the money came. It came to the attorney, and this was the lesson: was the attorney took a third. I'm 14, 15 years old, and he wanted me to
took a third of your money.
He wanted me to know, if you're going to hire a professional to do something, you have to pay, and it was a good lesson.
Yeah, that's. But hey, you learned it early. That's a good thing.
Yeah. So, but then from then on, it's been one. Helping other people start companies, starting a number of my own. I wouldn't do it any differently. You said something about I read where you said you have to get out of your own way to allow your business to grow. What do you mean by that?
So, this is very much so in particular to the really small businesses. Especially if you don't have any team members yet, you will reach a bottleneck. You will reach a level where you are stopping the growth. Especially if you figured out any kind of marketing where you can bring on more customers and you're not questioning like, when's my next meal coming? Mm-hmm. When you have that going, finally, you're going to reach a point, depending on your product, your service, whatever it is you're offering, where you are the problem, you are the bottleneck. And if you have figured out the bringing in more business part, the problem that so many people have is that it's their baby. And they're like, there's no way that I can bring on a team member or make a hire or outsource this particular service and somebody do it as good as me. Because you just, it's your baby. Like, nobody can do this as good as me. Right. And what I find is like, actually, like, there is a chance that maybe you're not the best at everything in the world.
Oh yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, there are people who can do things better than you can.
Right.
So figuring out what it is in the business that is easy to outsource, easy to eliminate, or easy to delegate, and pass those things off. Get out of your own way so that the business doesn't stop growing because of you. Right. And this is it's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, it's tough love, man. Giving that message.
Love, yeah. Yep. And that's why I like to say, like, believe it or not, you might not be the best at everything in the world, and somebody might be able to do it better than you, believe it or not. And even if they can only do it 80% as good as you, it's probably still a good hire. Mm-hmm. You still want to improve if you can, but if somebody can just deliver 80, 90% of the quality or the efficiency that you can, that's probably a worthwhile investment.
Yeah. And then you go on and do something else, or, contribute the best way that you can contribute. You don't need to be the person that's picking out the color of the wallpaper or, telling them what to stock in the toilets. I mean, and I've seen, entrepreneurs do that in good sized companies. I mean, yes. Multi-million-dollar companies.
I have seen that as well. And it astonishes me. Like, how do you get anything done is almost, I probably go a little bit too extreme. Like, I tell my team, I'm like, I want to forget your name, which, God's honest truth, there's just people on my team. I only have like 7 people on my team, give or take. I don't know all their names because I will go 6 months without talking to them, which is pretty extreme. But I do that and I set things up like, I want to teach you in the beginning how to do this. I want you to figure out how to do it better if you can. And you can call me if you need me. text me if it's an emergency. But otherwise, like if I never talk, the goal is that we never talk unless you need something or there's a request or something like that. That's my management style, which is a little extreme, I'll admit, but it sets things up so that things just run themselves. And that's a much better way to do things, I believe.
Well, how then do you, it's a good idea, but how do you manage or how do you measure, I guess, what it is they're doing and how they're doing it? Is it just all the bottom line or what is it?
Not necessarily the bottom line. You have to have some kind of base, key performance indicator, KPI, which depends on whatever your product, whatever your services, whatever it is that you're offering, you kind of need to know what that is. So for us, it's like, are they like everybody has to submit me, generally speaking, like a weekly report or something, or just an email letting me know, like, what was your KPI? So each position, I know what that KPI is. I know what key thing to look at. And I just look at that and, hey, as long as you're doing that, as long as you're getting the job done, that's what matters to me. And I find that I'm sure maybe I just got lucky with making some good hires and bringing on some good people. But I find that when you empower people and you have clear expectations, like I want you to figure out how to do this better. A lot of people like that. A lot of people like being in charge of what they're doing and being able to take the reins. I've never met anybody who likes to be micromanaged.
No.
So because I go so extreme, it tends to attract the people who embrace that and like the challenge, and they take it and they run with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of worker that, the kind of team member, someone I want to work with is like that. I want them to be better than me. I want them to know more than me, definitely know more than me. And
100%.
Yeah. So, this whole COVID thing has changed how we work, definitely. So how do you, see things shaking out down the road? Excuse me.
So I don't like to predict the future. Let me add that, because 100% of the time I've always been wrong. The way we changed his work, I think, if you look back, you're a little bit older than me, maybe a year or two older.
Yeah, right.
If you look back over like the last 10 to 15 years, 20 years, this shift towards more digital work, working at home, people starting their own businesses and working for multiple different businesses, like all of these things, that shift has been occurring. There has still been this like stigma in our society that people that work from home, they're not really working. They're lazy. They're working in their boxers. They're not actually getting anything done. Employers were obsessed with tracking keystrokes, the number of keystrokes. I know a company that does, I think, software programming, and they track the number of keystrokes each employee makes per hour. Like, that's obscene. Why are you doing that? That employee has no freedom. And that's all, the old mindset of everybody's working in an office and you have to make sure that everybody's doing their work.
Right.
But there has been this shift towards people working from home, people doing their own thing. Zoom meetings, like there has been this shift, but there was still the stigma that these people aren't working from home. This isn't for real. And then COVID just forced everybody to do it. Mm-hmm. And then people realized like, oh, damn, like actually, believe it or not, maybe you're more efficient at home. Like minds were blown by this idea. So I believe that we're going to see fewer and fewer people working in office spaces. I'm really short commercial real estate, like office buildings and stuff. That's a really bad industry, I think, to be in the next 30 years.
By the way, one of my best friends is in commercial real estate. So
we
have this talk every couple of days.
Yes, the strip malls, office spaces. I don't think that's probably not a good business to be in. And on top of that, I mentioned like people starting their own businesses. So go back to the baby boomer generation. You went to school, maybe went to college, you got a job, you worked for one company for 30, 40 years.
Yep.
That's just how it was. Now, it's not that people are going to be changing jobs. I believe that because work can be digital and it lowers the expenses, businesses don't need to spend $50,000, $60,000 a year to bring on a team member. Mm-hmm. Now they can maybe spend $10,000 a year and bring on a team member part-time. Mm-hmm. And that team member can easily work from home and work for 8 different companies.
Sure.
And still make $80,000, $100,000 a year.
Sure.
In this really brief example, whether it's graphics designers, whether it's writers, web designers, coders, all these different positions, I believe that more and more people are going to be starting their own businesses and working for multiple different customers, multiple different clients. That's a complete shift in the way people do work. And I think it's been coming, and COVID just ramped it up to 100.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I've seen the same thing for a long time. I also still see that stigma from some companies. They're at home fooling around. They're not really working. There's one of the companies that I did work for. They were all virtual. We took them all virtual several years ago, and it worked great. It really, really worked great. They saved a lot of money on real estate. It was clicking. Well, they sold the company, and they sold it to a company that had like businesses like that. And they do everything in offices, and they feel that's the way to do things. And it's, how it was done for the generation before, maybe the generation before that. So they went out and, rented real estate and then sent people, to the office every day. And of course, COVID hit, which, it's not, I don't know how they're handling those kinds of things. But yeah, in most cases, a lot of this stuff can be done from home without a doubt, and can be done more efficiently, and you'll have happier employees. I believe that. Absolutely.
And especially, I believe really when it comes to management, to me, it's just about empowering people. Mm-hmm. If you, like I mentioned, like the tracking keystrokes of work at home employees is just obscene. If you should have some kind of KPI, some kind of indicator to track, right. Customer satisfaction, the number, are they getting projects done? But what matters is if they're doing their work, if they're paid a salary and they're only working 2 hours a day, but they're getting the job done, like, what does it matter? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. I think that whole, it's a stigma from the boomers and just previous generations, understandably, because that's just the way it was done before.
Sure. Sure. I mean, that's a whole group that I work with. And in fact, the book coming out next year is for that group, the kind of, over 50 group, if you will. You got a lot of people out there, boomers and even Gen Xers, who, they're at a point in their life where they have worked maybe the same job for years and years. And sometimes it's, someone walks in the door and says, I'm sorry, but we're going to let you go. We're downsizing. We're doing whatever. Or they just get to the point themselves and they want to do something different. So what they're finding, and what I'm finding, is that a lot of them are taking a look at the digital world, and they're getting, a gig here, a gig there, a little side hustle, and they're putting together a career doing something that they might like. I use the example, a guy that I know was a sheet metal worker and all his life, but he always liked playing with stocks and bonds and investing. So he ended up making the switch at some point into becoming an investment advisor, got it licensed and all that stuff, but wow. Didn't do it till later on in his life. And there's lots of great stories like that of people who are boomers. The good news about that, and because I know you're a millennial, is that boomers actually have the greatest success rate in starting new companies. Did you know that?
I did not, but it's probably because they have more experience.
Yeah, that's why. They've already seen all the mistakes. They've made all the mistakes, just like you made all your mistakes. Yeah. Okay, we've done it all. We've bought all the T-shirts, and so they actually have better success starting businesses when they're over 50, 60. Some of the largest companies out there were started by people in their 60s, 70s. So kind of fun.
I would add this. The world's changing. It's scary for folks, but generally speaking, society gets better. The economy gets better. It's not a straight line. Progress isn't perfect, but generally speaking, most of these changes are probably good. And you personally just have to make a choice. If you're out there and you lost your job, your job is changing, hours got cut back, your salary got reduced because you have a different position. That's scary, but you have a choice. You either can embrace the change or you can spend the rest of your life being terrified about it. Right. And I'd hate to tell you, but it's not going to stop. Things are going to continue to change going forward, and the speed of which things change is going to increase.
Yeah.
You can either embrace that and become comfortable with it, which is going to put you in a much better position, or you could spend the rest of your life in fear. It's all personal choice. But again, again, it's scary, but I believe just focusing on the fact that generally speaking, it's for the best is probably helps the mindset a lot, for sure.
So I know you like to travel, and
yes,
yeah, I've seen some of your Instagram photos, and so you've done some traveling. So now with COVID, what's the plan?
I have not been outside the country since last year.
Yeah.
It's been over a year. It's one of its first world problems. It's a luxury to have this particular problem that, I can't travel. I always remind myself that things could be much worse. So I'm lucky that is the worst problem I have. My goal this year was to spend 90 days nonstop outside the United States. I wanted to spend 30 to 60 days in Japan. That all obviously got completely scrapped. So, I believe vaccine's coming. It's already here. Mm-hmm. Give it a couple months, and things should be back to normal. So, sure, it sucks, but I don't get too caught up on it because things could be much worse. What about you? Do you like to? You're a traveling guy.
I have been to let's see, in my whole life, over 50 countries in every continent except Antarctica. So. So no, I hate travel.
Yeah. What have you been? Did you do anything this year? Were you able to?
We went in last year. We did my wife and I did a cross country train trip across the northern United States. The year before that was my terrible year of spending. 2018 was hospitals and nursing homes and trying to recover from a really serious infection and a hip implant. So I told myself when I was sitting in a nursing home, if I recover from this thing, by golly, we're going to go up to Alaska. So I wanted to do it differently though. And so we took a train. We did a train across the United States. We went through some places I had never been to. And then we dropped down into Seattle and, caught a ship there, and then went up through Alaska and did the whole Alaska thing, and spent a week up there, and then came back and spent some time in Seattle, and then it was a great trip. So, but that was my last trip. I haven't been out of the country other than I have been out of the country because I did have to go through customs in Canada,
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think I've been out. No, that's not true. I was out the year before too. We did do some stuff in the Caribbean and Mexico and some stuff. So, but.
It's weird times, man. And I know like some things like Mexico, I think is 100% open, but it's getting there. And I don't want to, especially because I'm not particularly scared about it. I'm worried about, other people, especially because I'm younger. So I'm probably not going to show symptoms, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
So I wouldn't even know if I had it. So I would feel terrible if I got on a plane and I gave it to somebody. So, and I hate the idea of driving the whole way to Alaska. That doesn't seem like that would be fun.
Yeah. Right.
So, I figure it's a year to focus on things at home. But I actually find that I was more efficient work-wise when I was traveling. Yeah. But what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Well, so what's your favorite place you've been to? Tell me that. Well,
Southeast Asia.
Okay.
100%. people are just ridiculously nice.
Yeah.
That was probably the best part to me. I certainly love Western Europe. A lot of I get excited about the silly things like the public transport, public transportation system.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I can get on a tram and go from one end of the city to the other for like 30 cents in like 20 minutes. That's incredible to me. I like, I'd probably have to say Southeast Asia. The food hits me right. The people are just ridiculously nice. Tends to be very cheap. I when I travel, I like to experience the culture. Yeah. So I'm not a fan of like staying in a hotel or something. I love Airbnb because it puts you in the neighborhoods. It puts you in where the locals live, and that's the type of travel that I like to do. So like I said, my goal this year was 30 days nonstop. Want to spend at least 90 days nonstop outside the United States. Wanted to spend 30 days at least in Japan, and well, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, what about you? What's your favorite?
Oh, I don't know. Probably Australia. I've spent a good bit of time down there, but I also enjoy, there's lots of parts of Europe that I enjoy. The South Africa, I could just go on. I mean, I spent several Christmases in Greece. It's just too many. Spain, I like the food a lot. I mean, it's, I like it all. China, I spent a good bit of time in China. It's a crazy place, crazy place. I mean, Hong Kong, I was in Hong Kong before it reverted back to, China, and had some unbelievable experiences there with some people. The amount of money that is just thrown around in that country blows my mind. But my wife has been researching. She thinks we should move to Taiwan. Why is that? We've never been to Taiwan, but neither is she.
Oh, she's just like pack it up and move.
Yeah, well, she has relatives who are actually from Australia via Ireland. They emigrated years ago to Australia.
Okay.
Some of the family then moved to Taiwan, and they live up in the northern part of Taiwan in the mountains, and they send her pictures, and the cost of living is so low. I mean, the medical care, the people come from all over the world. I didn't know that. They go to Taiwan for medical care, and it's
really,
did not know that. It's a fact. It's just, you could go there and on $2,000 a month, you could have, a 3-4 bedroom house with probably someone waiting on you. I mean, it's crazy.
Some of those countries, Taiwan, Vietnam. It's one of those countries Vietnam. I can't pronounce. Vietnam, Thailand. Those countries are just so cheap, and for a couple, I met people there who were expats. They from the United States, 100% had moved there. They were living off of like $500, $600 a month and living like kings.
Yeah.
Really nice apartment, eating out for every meal. Somebody did their laundry. If you spend like $2,000-$3,000 a month there, you have a really nice place. You could have a driver. You could have a full-time housemaid, somebody who's cooking all your meals, for $2,000-$3,000 a month.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. And again, the people there are so nice.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah. This is what her cousins say. They're cousins in there. They're like, oh, hey, you got to come over, So who knows? I don't know if we will or not, but,
you got to go.
Not until COVID's over anyways, so.
Yeah. That's probably a little bit risky.
So last question here. So, tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
Oh man, you really put me on the spot here. But that most people don't know. I would say most people that don't know who listen to me on podcasts and whatnot. I'm trying to think. I'm struggling here.
Well, all right, I'll bring up one here because I saw it on your something that I read about you.
Go ahead.
Stoicism.
I'll see people know that.
Oh, they do know that.
Okay. So Stoicism is just by all means, I'm not an expert. Couldn't tell you. The only one I know is Seneca the Younger, as I think, and Marcus. I have my Stoicism shelf is right there, right out of the camera. So yeah, Stoicism. It just gives me guidance on kind of trying to keep emotions at bay. So for those of you who don't know, what would it be considered? Just philosophy? Is that what it's considered?
I think philosophy, a way of handling pain, enduring pain in a stoic manner, in a kind of self-development, self-control way.
It's not. I've had somebody ask me, like, is it like a religion or something? It's not a religion. I think it is technically just considered a philosophy. Mm-hmm. For me, what it comes down to is not hiding emotions or trying to fight them or get rid of fear or jealousy or ego or any of these things. Right? It's more about like recognizing that all of these things are real. Like we all have some element of ego. We all have fears. We all have vices. These are all things that we have to deal with. And just recognizing them and then just applying logic. So am I making this decision in a logical manner, or am I allowing one of these emotions to get to me? Whether it's fear of death, whether it's investing money, whether it's some relationship issues, always just trying to recognize your emotions, be like, oh, that's that emotion right there. And then be like, well, what's the best course of action based on a logical step here? That's broadly speaking how I kind of apply it. The interesting fact about me that I was going to go with is that I like home improvement.
Oh.
Like I like, most people would be very surprised by that. Like I don't look like the kind of guy that like gets place to get his hands dirty and stuff, but I love digging around outside of my house and like doing stuff. And I just built a coffee table out of my old hockey sticks. I like to do that kind of stuff. Most people would not know that.
So you must be good at it if you can do that.
I have an interesting skill set. Me and my brother joke about this. He can't hang a picture. Yeah. I could probably build a house.
Okay.
But he could take a car apart and take the engine apart and put it back together. I don't know how to change the oil in my car.
Yeah.
So I got a very, very specific, narrowed down, niched skill set. I'm not good with everything with my hands, but when it comes to like home stuff, I'm probably pretty good at it, I would say.
Good. So
there's that ego talking. Got to apply some stoicism to that.
So are you going to be in Orlando for the holidays now, or what's the?
Yeah, we're staying here. Some of my family lives close by, so they're probably going to come over. But we're trying to keep things because it's spreading a lot down here.
Yeah,
so
we're on lockdown here in Pennsylvania. So
yeah, is it like our businesses? I got a ton of family up there. Businesses still open, or
businesses are hurting. All restaurants are closed as far as indoor dining. Totally, restaurants, bars, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they can still do some takeout, but there's no. It's tough. It's very difficult for them. They are encouraging. Now, the interesting thing about all this is there's no law that says any of this is a law. This is just the governor's, he'll sometimes talk like it's a law, but only the legislature can pass a law. So he's just going on his own commandments of whatever he wants to call them and trying to enforce them by, he can go after things like liquor licenses and, other health department kind of things to hurt the restaurants. So they kind of are in a tight place, but a lot of businesses, they're still open, but they're being very careful right now.
Yeah.
So, and we get conflicting reports here too on how many people, the numbers are such and such, but some people will tell us the hospitals are overrun. And then on the other hand, I'll talk to people like my own doctor who's at a big hospital here and it's fine, so I don't.
I don't envy our political leaders right now. Mm-hmm. I think look at Tom Wolf, extremely difficult situation. Do I think shutting businesses down would not hold up in the Supreme Court?
Right.
No doubt about it.
I don't think so.
But at the same time, you can get blood on your hands. And I look at, I have people in my neighborhood, people that I'm close with down here who are in the medical profession, work at hospitals and whatnot. And from what they tell me, unless they're members of the deep state, they're lying to me. They're telling me like, they don't put out reports saying this, but they're full. Wow. So they are flying people
to other hospitals,
out of the hospitals. And it's not the death rate the death rate's bad, mm-hmm. but that's not the problem. The problem is the hospitalization rate.
Out of beds.
And if we run out of beds, mm-hmm. it's not just the COVID people that are impacted. Mm-hmm. People still get in car accidents. Right. People still have heart attacks. People still cut their fingers off. Yeah. People still have accidents and they need to go to the hospital. Well, if people have heart attacks and they go to the hospital and they're like, sorry, we can't take you, you're going to just have to wait out here and die. Yeah. There's going to be riots in the streets over that. So do I think that it is right by any measure to be shutting restaurants down? No, I don't. But at the same time, it's like, what do you do to stop the spread? Well, because if people are having heart attacks and they're dying in the street because they can't get to a doctor, like there will be riots in the street. So that's not good. If you shut down restaurants, that's not good. How do you find that happy medium? Yeah. It's not happy. How do you find what is the least bad thing to do? So again, I don't envy whether you're a Republican, Democrat, the president. I don't envy having to make those decisions right now.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And I believe the best in people. So I believe, like down here we have what's his name, DeSantis, mm-hmm. Ron DeSantis. He's a Republican. I believe he's doing the best that he can do. He's choosing to go more of the route of leaving things open. And it's not that more people are going to get COVID and die. It's the hospitals are getting full. But do I think he's 100% wrong for making that decision? No, because poverty kills. I look at Tom Wolf. He's choosing to be more safe about it. Is that 100% the right decision? Absolutely not. Yeah. But given the information that they are dealt with, given the situation, they're trying to do the best. I believe that everybody's just trying to do the best that they can do.
Yeah, it's a tough situation.
That got political.
Yeah. Yeah. How do we get there? Well, listen, it's been good talking with you today.
Absolutely.
I've enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, it's a good chat. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to get together again down the road after some of this is over and you're traveling some more and hear some more of your stories.
Yeah, once things open back up and we get the vaccine and wherever I'm at in the world, I'd love to do another chat, man.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, you have a great holidays, and I will say Merry Christmas and have a great New Year's and look forward to 2021.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Sure.